Welcome, sentient beings from all known universes and beyond. It's time to activate your cranial downlinks and prepare to receive a raft of discussion on a cosmic ocean of science fiction and fantasy topics, interviews with local area genre devotees, and insightful prognostication by our soothsayers of science fiction, our forecasters of fantasy, and any other beings that happen to get caught in our gravity well. This is the Galactic Driftwood Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Galactic Driftwood Podcast. I'm Bill.
I'm Linda.
I'm Seth.
I'm Jenna.
And I'm Chris.
And that's Moo.
Moo!
I'm Benito.
Yep, we have our good friend Benito joining us today for our podcast, and we're going to be talking about a special D&D horror campaign we ran the weekend following Halloween at a haunted B&B. Ooh. And
Spooky. It was spooky.
Actually, all of us except for Jenna were there. But next time, Jenna, you're going to be there.
Next time I will attend. So
Yes.
just couldn't be a little early to be leaving the toddler for 3 days straight.
Understand. All right, so well, let's get into it. So this whole idea to run a sort of a series of back-to-back D&D campaigns at a haunted B&B came up. Probably it was last spring, wasn't it? Like April or something, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
I started talking about it, and actually found a campaign called The Haunt, which has 3 different campaigns in it. And so we decided that Benito, myself, and Seth would each take a campaign, and we would run it. We would each have like maybe a 6 to 8 hour block to run our individual games, and in theory, finish up Saturday night at some point.
In theory.
In theory. And so that's how we did. So each of us focused on our campaign. We got together, and Christ, Benito, Seth, I think we met from starting from early July or late June, like every 2 weeks until just before the campaign started, I think, just to get everything ironed out and do run-throughs.
Just saying it out loud, just kind of like, you're like, oh, that was crazy. We did that.
I know, right?
So before we really get into this, I should mention Chris was a player in our campaign.
Yeah.
And if there are any spoilers that he reveals, the penalties will be severe. I mean, it's not like we're not broadcasting the episode anyway.
See what I have to put up with as a player? I have these DMs that threaten me to keep my mouth quiet.
Right.
Man, my life is on the line. You guys have no idea.
We are the least threat to your characters, Chris. You are the primary threat to your character.
I am 100% a threat to myself.
Roll the dice
get into
right
that
now. Roll a dice right now and tell us what the result is.
I don't want to.
So,
so
we were kind of laughing about the time that we had allotted for each of our games, and so we got there Friday, right? And Benito, Seth, and I, we got there at 4:00, which is when the Argo opens, because it's a B&B, but it's only open on the weekends. So you check in Friday, you check out Sunday, and check-in's at 4:00. So we got there at 4:00. We told the players, get there at 5 because we need some time to get things set up. And so then they got there, and then
we got there at 3, I think.
Yeah, yeah, right. And but by the time everybody got organized and we were ready to go, we took everybody on a walking ghost tour of the Argo with the owner, Jennifer, and it was a good little walkthrough. Kind of gave everybody a little sense of the haunted history of the Argo and sort of helped set the mood. What do you think of it, Benito?
I think all of the pictures, no matter which ones we take, are not going to do any justice to the size of this place.
Right.
When I got home and I was looking at videos and pictures I'd taken from the outside, you just don't realize how massive it is on the inside. Mm-hmm. And when you walk in...
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say, when you walk in, it's just kind of an open floor plan, and it goes to this grand staircase that goes up. And yeah, this is a dining room, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, for sure that's what it is. But you just, I mean, it looks long here, but the scope of how deep that room is and how many people could sit around that table is just unbelievable. Right. It's a massive place on the inside.
And the one thing I thought was funny is as Jennifer's giving us the tour of the Argo, every room we go into, we're going through the basement, which is probably the most haunted area of the Argo. It seemed like Benito was standing everywhere she was.
I was already a little spooked going in there, so I was prime pickings.
Yeah.
So it should be noted that this is the same hotel that we went to as Stu Burns last October. Mm-hmm. And we did a show on that. So it made an impression on us. And we did, when we went there ourselves, we played a brief little game down in the foyer. And we were like, yeah, we got to come back and do this again here, except bigger.
Right.
And we did.
And we did.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the time we had allotted for each of the three campaigns was nowhere near enough.
Not even close.
Yeah, so I started the first one Friday night, and by the time we finished the tour and everything, we got started about 8:00, and that game went till 2 a.m.
Talk, Bill. Mm-hmm. Talk a little bit about what led up to it, or can you obviously the dolls were a big part of this, and we have
who made the dolls.
Yeah, we should say what we left for the players during our preparation time before they were allowed in the hotel.
Yeah, so Linda's got some pictures of those she can put up on talking. So the campaign that we ran, there's this evil doll that kind of goes through all of the 3 episodes. And we thought, well, it'd be kind of fun if we got some really creepy dolls and left them for each of the players in their rooms when they got there. And then there's a little letter there you can see with the doll. And the letter gave them some tasks to accomplish during the weekend with their doll. And if they accomplished the task and they did the best job, then they would get an inspiration point to be used during the game. Mm-hmm. And of course, if they failed miserably, then they got a discouragement point.
A discouragement point.
Right.
Chris, I just picture you walking into your room being like, nope, just turning.
Yeah. So from my perspective as the player, right? So I don't know, these 3 have been planning this for months. So I get there and I don't know what's going to go down, and they don't. None of them told us, how this was going to go, other than we can only show up at the hotel at a certain time. They've got some prep work of things to set up. So I walk into my room and I see this doll there with, with the letter, and I take a picture and I send it to my wife, and I'm like, well, that's how this weekend's going to go. Apparently this is how it's. So I'm thinking, what else is going to be happening over the weekend? What's going to happen? So. But it was really cool, as Bill was saying. The letter had some things to earn, points of inspiration, or
points of discouragement.
Points of discouragement. And so I set out right away to kind of get ahead of the game and start decorating my own. Decorating the dolls was one of the things you could do. Take certain pictures with them or film them. So all of us as players had ways to engage for the weekend in general with the game and everything, which was kind of cool. Kind of takes you outside of just the tabletop aspect, but also participating in other ways. So yeah, we've got different pictures after we've added some accessories and glamorized our dolls, so to speak, and placed them in different places. And it made it pretty creepy, but it set the tone for the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Just to mention, the dolls are something that we got from like a at-home store, and they were, at the time we got them, they were just like white ghost dolls. So they had white little outfits and white hair. And Benito did this wonderful job of making them the creepiest things you've ever seen.
Yeah, we turned them over to the master of horror.
Yeah, I just did a little, and then just to get the ball rolling, and then we turned it over to the players, and they just went overboard. Not overboard, I mean over the top with just the crazy, awesome creepiness of it. It was above and beyond anything I think we expected was going to happen.
Yeah.
Well, you gave us a lot to work with. You gave us a whole craft room with a bunch of stuff, even hot glue and everything. So it was just a matter of, all right, what can I do to make this, what can I do to personalize this, right? So
well, you guys did a great job.
So this is the after.
Yeah, there's 6 dolls, and they each had their own name. So there was Deliria, and her thing was Deliria has eyes that are said to have witnessed the last rites of countless souls. Eviscerate, and I think that was yours, wasn't it, Chris?
The fourth one down, Viscera,
Yeah. She emits a cold aura. Anyone who holds her feels an icy dread crawling up their spine. Did you feel that icy dread, Chris?
No, but I'll tell you what, I did not once sleep in that room with the doll with me.
You didn't?
Oh, interesting. Here's what they looked like before we started. I don't know if
I got away with that one, and I did not leave that doll in the room with me when I went to sleep.
What do you mean you got away with it? We're still not
picture, Linda. Drop
Do you
the
have
picture so we can see Benito's camera.
Yeah, look at your.
Yeah.
So I did, with it being a haunted hotel, I did send Sage with Chris to share with the group in case it got crazy or wily.
Yep, and so we had Eviscerate, Agasta, Tormenta, Hexet, and Malicia. Great names for these hideous dolls. And Chris actually ended up, his wife wouldn't let him bring his doll home.
Nope.
Didn't want that in our house.
Bring anything back either, yeah.
But the Argo was more than happy to take it into their protective, loving custody. And
she got left behind.
Yeah, and I guess you guys hid it in the basement there for them to find.
No, God.
No, she knew. Janet knew. We were hiding it for her daughter, who would be thrilled to find it.
Yeah.
They were so excited to find it that they'd found it that next day. She said they'd gone.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. Yeah, that was
makes
awesome.
me happy.
Well, you know what? I got a little short, about a 30-second video clip of the first night. Let me run that so people can get a little flavor of how this thing ran, and then we can chat some more.
Suddenly, the ground beneath them begins to soften like molasses, and they start sinking into it. At that moment, you hear a child's voice echoing across the clearing as the horror in front of you continues to unfold.
Fuck off.
Great, now I'm terrified of Katie.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So this is definitely where we should credit Katie Otten with singing our various creepy, horrible lullabies that we sprinkled throughout
Right?
Yes.
Benito and Bill's parts.
Yeah, Katie did an awesome job as the disembodied voice of the doll. Coming in, we created a number of lullabies for her to sing or recite during the episode, and then we had those all recorded so we could play them at the right moments. And it was good because the players, and Chris, you can probably speak to this a little bit. The players, I think, learned to hate the doll more than Gertrude was supposed to be the big baddie of that whole thing, right?
We did, and I don't know how much of that was intentional, but there was something about, we were trying to, as we shifted through this nightmare of a story, this doll became like this bane of our existence, and we would keep coming across it, and we would try to take it down, and it kept getting away, and it got so frustrating to the point where it's like we were going to go out of our way to burn this doll to the ground. So much so, even to the point where, when we were taking certain actions, we had complete disregard for our other fellow characters. So if we were in the room and we were going to light a fireball, you had best not be in that room because we were going to take that darn thing out.
Right.
But yeah, it ended up being this awesome part of the story that happened that night. So
you guys hated that doll so much that if someone would have shot in a fireball into the room, like the people who were in there would be like, "No, do it, burn that doll."
Yep. It came down to self-sacrifice, even just take me with it.
Right? Can I share that creepy little video that Ben made with his doll?
Yeah.
Let me see if I can find this here.
Yeah.
God, that was great.
But while you're looking for that, I think it was Ben that actually started calling the doll that, instead of calling it the evil doll or whatever, he just started calling it that chuckle fuck.
Yeah, he did. Well, so the thing was, right, Bill played this part for the doll of this chuckle that would happen, and if you could, Bill, give us a chuckle, but this chuckle would happen all the time, kind of in like the background or whatever, and every time it would exactly. So we were listening to this for these sessions, and it would just infuriate you even more. This stupid doll, and every time it scurried away into a dark corner and disappeared, it was just.
Oh man. Okay, here's the one of Ben's.
Okay.
Now, little one, don't you cry. The doll with the button eyes is so sly.
Can you hear it?
Yeah.
With a wicked grin, her secrets to keep. She'll whisper soft in the dead of night, promising dreams but filled with fright. Her porcelain heart as cold as stone. Innocence lost, you'll be all alone.
I love Jenna's face right now.
For the doll with death in her FU eyes.
So he stayed up. He stayed up until.
Yeah, this happened after we had our first late night. After two,
he did it.
Like
He did that at 3:00 in the morning at the witching hour.
Oh God, Benito, once this episode airs, we have to give Ben the YouTube link so he can see Jenna's reaction to that.
That was all of our reaction, I think, when we first saw it.
Yeah,
I'm tearing up. That's just like no.
It was. Yeah. So yeah, I didn't let that go hard in the room. Ben solidified that. Ball.
Yeah, so that just added to what Chris is saying. Like that doll was just an evil F. Like.
So I feel like there's a lot of lessons learned in this for anyone who'd want to run a similar campaign. And it sounds like the first lesson is whatever you think you're going to run that campaign time for, double it.
Oh shit, triple it.
Yeah.
Well, and for player shenanigans,
Yeah, and
find ways to make your own DMing more efficient.
Yeah.
I think we started doing something that we should have kept doing, in that when someone's turn came up, we need to inform the next person that they're next in line so they can start planning their action.
Yeah.
And that I hope will create a bit more time for us in the future.
Did you have any other ground rules? Like maybe looking back, maybe you should have brought one of those game board stand time glasses. You know what I'm talking about? It's hourglass.
I brought a
we
time.
did that. Yeah, and he did that in places, but I mean, we told the players that we were going to be pushing them through this pretty fast, and then we did not do that.
We got so wrapped up in the story, I think, as DMs even, that we learned so much.
Everybody was having such a good time.
Mhm.
It was not, you didn't want to rush it because they were really enjoying themselves. And at midnight, the first night, I'm like, okay, it's midnight. I'm going to think about wrapping it up. And it just went on for 3 more hours, and everybody wanted to keep playing. There wasn't one person, I think, who was getting kind of tired. I think just between us, probably the DMs were the more tired.
I know at 2:00 I was like, I gotta sleep sometime, man.
But that was it. When it was done, that was it, right? Because you had to make space for the next DM the next day.
Yeah, as a player, one of the things that we enjoyed was the DMs letting it play out. So while they felt they had the job to push, as was mentioned, we were enjoying it even from an entertainment value aspect. But as players, the other thing is we're unpredictable, right?
Yeah.
The DMs have kind of a vision of how things are going to go, but we as players, it's like rolling a D20, right? On what we're going to do. There's 20 different things we could do. But you have to commend DMs for kind of rolling with it. As far as what we do, because we will always just throw shit at the wall at some point and see what's going on.
It's not that as players, as a group, you're doing something crazy. There's 6 people who want to do something.
Yeah, it's not a small team of players. It's rather, I mean, it's fairly large.
Unwieldy.
So 6 different mindset their decisions.
Well, and then there's certain parts where you could shortcut your way through, but then you kind of miss some of the ambiance, I guess. So like, I'm thinking specifically like of the way through to Apothecary where they went to. That section took a long time just for them to realize that it was just nothing really there that's going to help them much, except maybe a few dusty potions, health potions.
But that's another example where it built up the angst so much against the guy who ran the place, they wanted to go back and kill him.
I know. I was about to say, he became the other main villain of the campaign in their eyes, and they only had one interaction with him. But their entire goal was to get back to the town and kill that guy.
So, would you say that
he wasn't a mean guy. He just
he deserved to die. Fuck that guy.
He was being as nice to you as he possibly could be. The poor old guy, he didn't have good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, he lives in this rundown town of Runeswick that's been, the
Fireball
life has been sucked dry for centuries by this old hag, and so he's got all this old crap.
Okay, so you see what's happening right here. See what Bill is doing. This killed a lot of time for us. Okay, Bill really enjoyed what was going on at the apothecary. We could have cut it short, but Bill was like, "I'm gonna milk this for everything it's worth." And not only that, I put so much time and effort into this that we could make this go an hour. And I'll still have content to go.
How many items did this guy have in his
over
shop?
100? Like 100? He actually had a list, Bill.
Yes, and Chris, you had a chance to get a ring of invisibility.
I did.
But he turned it down.
Let's not go through that.
Because the ring itself.
Yeah, we're going to make it back to that town and we're going to kill that guy.
So that's lesson 2. If you're going to try a campaign like this, start with a smaller crowd because there's a lot of mechanics you have to work out as the DM, and having a larger group, it makes it more challenging.
Or a smaller campaign.
I think we just needed to budget our time better. That 6 players, it takes longer than 4. It's the difference between herding 4 cats and herding 6 cats. Those extra 2 cats are really difficult.
Yeah, and I think
we learned so much that we'll put into the next one. That
and we're looking at doing another one of these because we all had so much fun. But some of the things we've talked about is maybe starting off the campaign with 2 separate groups of 4 that then we bring together at the end so that they can go against the big baddie in a maybe a shorter final confrontation or something. So, which might make the 2 individual campaigns go a little faster. So
we talked about we're really just throwing ideas out. But the thought was that these 4 and these 4, we don't know if they know each other yet or not, but they have to come together with their combined resources to. They have to have that other group to fight the big baddie, and they wouldn't come together till the very last scene for the very last battle, so that we're not trying to run 8 people through anything. I don't know. It was just something we were throwing around. Who knows what it'll end up being actually.
Right.
But since the place is so big and can facilitate so many people, that people are going to hear about this and want to be a part of the next one. So
It almost sounds like we're wrapping up, but I think we should talk about some of the cool things our players brought to the table.
Yeah. Go ahead, Seth. Jump in with that.
Well, I mean, everyone had a really good idea for their character and came and role played it really well. Chris, you did excellent with your tragic warlock guy, specifically in a part in Benito's the second part where you had a vision of this making out with this demon. We got a picture of your face, and it was fantastic. He was just like, no, I don't want to.
Yeah, so my character Tanjiro had this backstory of, this awful thing happened to his sister. He's not really sure. Maybe he was possessed or whatever. Maybe he did it. And so the DMs were able to take kind of liberty with that and weave that into the story. So as these creepy things were happening, or you would have these visions or whatever, they would interject parts of your backstory into it to kind of make everything a bit more tragic and dark. So at some points, I'm found to be like, making out with this demon and all these awful things. I'm going to put that out of my mind. Other parts where, it became where each character's backstory would have kind of an effect on what actions they were going to take next, or whether they were angry or how they were emotionally impacted. So it was all pretty good. It was all well done. So I enjoyed it very much.
Yeah, very early on when I read your backstory, and you didn't know if you killed your sister, and then there was the part about you might be possessed by a demon, or there's something with a demon. As soon as I read that, the first thing I pictured in my mind was in all those old books about where it's always a devil or a demon, and it's always somebody has given themselves to them, not necessarily sexually, but it's usually a make-up picture where they give themselves completely to the devil or the demon. I was like, ooh, Chris don't make up.
And that was the thinking behind it is we knew we were going into this terror campaign, so give the DM something to work with if they so choose to be able to work around that, and I think it worked out great. So I loved what you guys did with that.
So you guys didn't have second characters. Did anyone die and have to make a new character in all of this?
People died.
I died. So what ended up happening there is when you died, at least so far, again, this is not complete, you come back as a zombie. And for the most part, you're kind of yourself. You have some bonuses in some areas and a lot of penalties as a result. And if you run into a situation, we have a special character zombie sheet, if you will, that if you end up with this bloodlust, right, that you have to roll saves against, so whether or not you can control yourself. And if you can't, well, now you're playing as like a zombie who all he wants is the blood, and you end up attacking anyone around you, particularly the one that's bleeding or whatever. So that's pretty interesting. But outside of that, you get kind of a second chance, if you will, to mostly play yourself until others around you start to bleed, and then that's when you become a little bit of a headache. So you better roll well on your saves or get wrecked.
Right.
So, yes.
Yeah, we tried to keep the personality of your character the same. It's just now you're fighting urges to not.
Yep.
To not. If somebody in your party gets hurt or wounded and they bleed, then like you said, you may want to go drink their blood.
Yeah.
So that's a great way to get around then having to have a second character or make a second character on hand.
Yeah, we thought it made sense to do stuff like that, because then you don't have to try to figure out how you're going to bring a new character in, especially when you're trying to run a campaign over a short period like that. You don't want to have to go through the thing of them finding a new character, getting introduced to the group, figuring out, okay, well, do I trust this new guy or not? You want them to be with the same person that they've been with for the most part. They just have some penalties having done something stupid and died.
Yeah, we found this person in this incredibly haunted house. I'm sure they'll be great friends, and
right.
But
so
let's see.
Go ahead. I was going to bring up Shukas. What were you going to say?
I was going to bring up Ben and Barry's characters, the brothers.
Yeah, that was good too.
But they brought a lot to the table, and especially at the end where they managed to pin down the evil doll. They had this fantastic combo worked out ahead of time, along with a Boondock Saints style prayer that they would recite while they were executing this maneuver.
Wow.
It was great. I loved it. Like,
they worked it out word for word. They were in stereo. They got that.
Yeah.
I would, if the only reason I didn't give them an inspiration point for that is because they just would have used it to keep beating on that creepy doll, and they already had that thing dead to rights.
What were you going to say about Shukas, Ben?
Well, there's a lot of really good cinematic moments that happened throughout the whole games, and Shukas's was so good. He apparently, so he could sprout wings, and they were magical, sort of spectral wings. They weren't, solid with feathers. And there was a point where they had stumbled into a room, and it was full of maniacs. And the maniacs they were in straitjackets, and so when they would attack, they would lunge at you and then bite you. And then when they would bite you, they would latch on. So and there was several in that room, tons of them compared to how many players there were. So at times people had two, zombie maniacs in straitjackets latched on them, trying to fight with these guys. And Shukas's character, he ended up sprouting his wings. And help me out with this. He sprouted his wings, and did he start to fly up?
Yeah. So he sprouted his.
Yeah, he sprouted his back, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was a zombie or a maniac on his back.
Yeah, and then he sprouted his wings and flew backward into the wall.
Yeah, he was hoping that the wings sprouting would dislodge them, but when they didn't, he just slammed them into the wall.
Yeah, he had two of them on there, right?
I loved it.
That was super cool, yeah.
Yeah.
There was
a lot of cool moments like that. And
just got stuck on instantly.
What's that? Sorry.
I said poor Trey's character. He just caught the short end of the stick on every single thing. He was always in the wrong spot at the wrong time.
Yep.
He just got his ass beat mentally, physically.
Well, I also want to mention the detail you guys put into a lot of the things like this.
That's all Benito.
Yeah, I mean.
Well, I think Seth did some too, right?
Yeah, we just didn't get to any of mine. Basically, I did the evil doll, the evil doll minis that they've seen, but everything else I did they haven't seen yet.
Yeah, I was going to say they're in for a treat on some of the things that Seth got to do. It's going to be
they were really good and detailed, and just for this campaign, a lot of 3D printing went on.
Yeah, and we should say too that so my campaign, there was a shortcut in mine that we could bypass a lot of this haunted manor that they were going through. to end it quick and move on to the next section so Benito could start running his. And so Benito did that, but that lower level of his St. Grey Castle's hospital was really involved, and there was just a lot of stuff going on there. That ended up taking 14 hours, I think.
Holy crap!
It was
big. It was huge.
And we started at 11 and finished at 2.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
an hour.
Yeah, we took a little break to eat and then came back.
So did you do the
and
third
you're about
campaign?
how far done?
We didn't even get to the third part.
I'm maybe
to play his part.
Benito only got not even half, and Bill had to cut his short, and so we
probably did a third or less of mine. Maybe.
Yeah, so we still have a ton of content to get through, which was kind of the eye-opening part.
So yeah, I get that it came across in the Discord a couple of times where people were like, not like how did this happen, but more like, you guys went not even accusatory, but we just kept telling them that we're going through it and we're doing run-throughs, and they were just as confident as we were that this is going to go very smoothly.
On that, to speak of the confidence, so all day Saturday, Benito felt great about it. So like every hour he'd be like, "We're making really great time, guys. We're doing really good." And like every hour or two, man, we were right on track. Let's keep this going. And then we get to like the end, and it was like there's still so much more.
Well, you guys had one encounter that took like 4 hours because we accidentally combined 3 encounters or so.
Yeah, that was south. Yeah. So, but this is
that's a good way of putting it.
I mean, it put them under a lot of pressure, but it took a long time too.
Yeah.
It finally got to the point that they took a stand and they weren't going to do what needed to be done to move forward, and we had to make some adjustments. But
that's when I got ganked,
and that's when Chris got bodied.
What was supposed to happen was, and I made a couple of fumbles in there too, so it's not. I can't put the blame on anybody but myself. But what was supposed to happen is one of the players was supposed to kill another one. It just had to happen for this whole thing to stop what was going on. That was the bump in the road. And they were trying everything they could to not have to do that. And then when it came time to possibly that's what we're going to have to do, they're like, no, we're just not going to do it.
It was like not in our nature. We fought so hard to get up to this point. We were going to explore every opportunity, every chance, everything to not have to kill someone if we could help it. And it was dragging it out because we were just like, nope, we're going to do this to save them. We're going to do this. And
so finally the head ghost of this particular area, she had enough bullshit going on in her abandoned hospital, and so she just came down with a giant magical longsword in her spectral image and just ran it through Chris. She literally
ganked me.
How did we decide on Chris getting it?
Well, I was going to do it to Trey, but Trey had just been through the ringer for a day and a half or 2 days. I couldn't do one more thing to the poor kid.
He was the first zombie.
And he was already the zombie.
He got wrecked. I felt so bad. Like he got wrecked in Bill's part and just had the worst time. His character had the worst time. I think he was still having fun.
He was. Man, talk about you could not beat anybody down more than we beat down that poor kid. Even to the point that we felt bad about it, and we're like, we need to make some changes because I feel terrible about what we're betraying of the character. And then literally like 2 or 3 hours later, I don't know, something else fucking crazy shitty happened to him, and he was even in a worse spot than he was before. We could not.
We're not kind to that. His dancing bard.
That's when out of his soul is when he stopped dancing, because as a bard normally you sing to help out your other players or to do your spells or to do the things that you're going to do, your abilities, and he was going to be a dancing bard, and so he had practiced. I don't know how many dance moves he had, and we told him if you're going to do that you have to physically dance. And he had all kinds of dance moves worked out, and finally, when he's so beat down, he's just like, he wasn't even dancing anymore. He was just like, I do this, or I do that.
As a shambling zombie, it's hard to do dance moves, I think, anyway.
I felt so bad. But a testament to the players is everybody hung in there. Everybody knew we were running long. Everybody knew we were cutting parts out, which I know everybody, DMs felt bad. I know the players felt bad because there's a lot of stuff that they wanted to explore and do. And a testament to them is everybody's willing to get back together, and we've worked out a way to go back to Bill's section and then get back to my section and then do Seth's section, and everybody's on board to finish up the games back here in Omaha, and everybody's very, very super excited to do it. So we don't just leave them hanging, and they didn't get, the experience, the total experience that they wanted.
Right, which is kind of nice too, because with winter coming on, we're going to be trapped inside anyway. So why not get together and do a little more D&D and relive some of the excitement of the horror campaign? They can get a chance to go back and kill Elrond at the Waythrough Academy or Apothecary and get the doll.
Did we talk about doing maybe 4-hour sessions? Is that kind of where that fell into line?
I was like 2 to 5, I think, on a Saturday. At least that's my first sessions.
Yeah, and how many sessions do you think that's going to take?
10 to 15.
10 to 15 seconds?
The way they're running, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I'm up for it. I'm ready. I can take it.
I'm far too optimistic.
I know.
I think I can do mine in 2 or 3. It depends on how long our sessions are, but
2 or 3 sessions.
If we could do 5 hours, I bet I have 3.
So that means 6.
4.
So I think I got maybe enough for 2 or 3 sessions left in my house. So
that means 6.
You've got 3, and
there's so much great stuff that happens in that mansion that I can't wait to get back to.
And Seth has 3. That'd be 9 sessions, and then of course we underestimate anyway. So
I can do 3 sessions.
Make it 18.
Might be 4.
So that'll be
so double it and add 30.
like I said, when you've got 6 players, you've got to plan on 6 cats.
Yeah. Well, and I think too the important thing is you don't want, while you've got to kind of make progress through the campaign, you don't want it to feel rushed to the players.
Yeah, true.
You want them to be able to, enjoy it and experience every part of it, and if they want to. So I think it'll be good to get together and make winter go by like that. And then before you know it, we'll be ready for another campaign.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, then we can start with the next one. So it'd be nice if we could do 2 a month. We'll see how that works with everybody's schedules, because this is really kind of thrown together where it's not like we all play, weekly games, and we know what Wednesday at 7:00 means, but I don't know if that'll happen with these guys, but
yeah.
Oh, the other thing we got to figure out too is I've got room for 6, just barely. You can facilitate. You can go up to probably 8 times.
Yeah.
I got plenty of room. I do 6 every time. So.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you got that beautiful table in your dining room there. So we'll be good. This will be fun. This will be a fun winter thing.
Yep.
Agreed.
Absolutely.
And you're all still talking to each other.
Yeah.
Those of us that are alive. All right.
You should talk about the scary things that happened while we were there.
Oh yeah, Benito. Go
There's
for it.
A lot of well, okay, so a lot of it was electrical things that happened. There was a lot of electrical phenomenon, but the only thing that I had happen to me that was outside of that was, and I talked about it on my my show, and I was spooked the whole time. I knew every time I turned around I was going to see something. I knew something was going to touch me in my room. She had me so built up. Something was going to happen, but there was one point when I was walking up this grand staircase, and it's beautiful, wide. Probably 6 feet, if not more, wide, that goes up to where the bedrooms are. And you see it the minute you walk in the front door. I've been up that set of stairs a million times that weekend. And I was going up the steps, and it would go steps and then a landing and then another set of steps. And right when I got to the landing, the very first step I took on that landing, I heard a woman's, it wasn't necessarily a voice, but I heard a woman's voice, and she just sighed. And it was very much just like this. It goes, with the voice, with the high-pitched sigh, and then the air at the end that finished her sigh. And I physically stopped. And I looked, I knew there's nobody there. There was nobody to even see, but I looked to my right, and then I looked to my left, and I looked up the stairs, and I just froze for a minute, not scared, but it's like, what caused that? So I'm looking around to see, and there's nothing. It was just me on that landing. And it was as if that person was standing literally right beside me and did that in my ear. It wasn't like a whisper or quiet. It was very much like if somebody was standing there and did that. It was
Chris,
very
you were
strange.
supposed to say Nito.
Well, so a thing
Yeah,
to remember: the house is very
no
old, so it makes a lot of noises. There's noises that come from everywhere in that place. The only creepy thing I had to happen was the first night where Seth scared the shit out of me. Not even intentionally.
I got two people not even meaning to.
I'm upstairs, and this is, for whatever reason, it was darker than it normally is, because there's usually lights on in the hallways and stuff, and they flicker all night or whatever. But I'm upstairs. I'm heading back downstairs after one of the breaks, and I think I'm the only one upstairs. And as I'm walking towards the grand staircase that Benito mentioned, I hear like it's like a howl or a faint. It's not even a screech, but it's like a weird noise that isn't made by something that I can explain at the moment. It's not electrical. It's not something coming on the floor. It's not a door creaking or whatever. It's just this distant, ghastly howl thing that makes me stop before I get down the stairs, because it's what is making that noise. So I stop and I'm looking back, and it's just a dark hallway, right? I can't see much, and I'm peering, and so then I'm standing there, and then like a few seconds later, as I'm just standing staring, just waiting to see, Seth pops around the corner, and I'm like, oh, it must have been Seth, but I can't explain where the noise came from. I can't explain what was making the noise. Was it like a pipe or something? But it literally made me stop and just stand there, and I'm staring. In the back of my mind, my body's like, this is where you nope out, buddy. Just keep walking down the stairs. You know what to do here. Don't investigate. Don't do that. This is where you walk away.
Chris, do you want to know what you heard?
Do I want to know what I heard? What did I hear?
Yeah. You know those big shadow boxes they have in every room?
Yeah.
With tchotchkes and stuff in it?
Yeah.
I was standing up from grabbing something from the floor and just bam in the back of my head. Like I had, it was tender for a week or more, and you heard me probably go, ah!
Mask behind the door, coming around the corner. It was like, I don't know what it was, but I like it because from where I was, again, I was trying to discern where it was coming from, some kind of screech or something. And then Seth was the one that came out from around the corner after a while. But it was only like real eerie thing that happened. Everything else, other than that, I gotta say though, I slept like a baby there. I can't remember the last time I slept so hard.
Linda and I didn't sleep like babies quite so much, because the first night we go to bed at 3 in the morning, and
whose fault is that?
then at the crack of dawn, a fucking rooster.
A rooster. Yeah, I heard it too.
And I mean, we weren't even we're in the middle of town. Who in the fuck has a rooster in the middle of town?
Bill, you've clearly never lived in small town Nebraska.
Yeah, right?
Clearly.
That's right. I had Shuka scared me on accident. When you go up that grand staircase, there's a giant wall that's a mirror that greets you as you come up the stairs. So as you come up the stairs, you see yourself. But that mirror also projects what's behind you down each side of the staircase down the hallway. And as I was coming up the stairs, I saw Shukas, and it looked like Shukas was walking towards me, like coming down the other hallway towards me. So it's not just a wall that goes across the whole building. It's a short little wall, and then there's two hallways that go past that. So as I'm walking up the stairs and I see Shookus, I was like, "Oh, hey, good to see ya." And when I turned around, we ran right into each other face to face. And when I came around, he was standing there scared the crap out of me.
Yeah, I feel like mirror is just, I don't know, the placement of it is like awful because it messes with you. But that's where I was standing when I was looking to see where that noise was coming from. So I'm looking at the mirror and I'm looking at the hallway that I just came down, looking at the hallway that Seth is about to come around. And so I'm looking and it's like, where's this noise coming from? And the mirror trips you out because it's showing you everything behind you and you're just staring into the darkness being like, what's there?
I know. So do you want me to talk about the electrical stuff that went on a little bit? Because I can point to both Bill and Seth and that they were a part of it too. The thing that happened to my equipment was this computer right here, which is, and I talked about it before, like I said on my show, it's fairly new. I've got almost no use on this computer whatsoever. I bought it literally just to run that board there, the table. Anyway, so Bill had a whole, I think Lyndon brought the picture up, his whole area where he was sitting was, I think, a laptop and a monitor, maybe 2 monitors, and then my laptop. And they were all plugged into the same power box, right? Power strip.
Yeah. Can you bring that picture up, Linda?
And so everything's plugged into the same box. And so you would think if the box had gotten unplugged from the wall, everything would have shut down or there'd be something that happened. Anyway, we were finishing up that first night. And Bill called me over and he said, "Benito," he said, "look at your computer here. Your computer says the battery's dead." And so I came around and looked at it, and there was a text box on it that said something to the effect of attention or warning, battery critically low. And when I looked at it, the battery was completely wiped out, but it was never running on battery. Never. It was complete because it'd been up and running for 8 hours, 9 hours. That battery only lasts for maybe 3 on that particular. Yeah, this one here. That battery only lasts for a couple, 2 or 3 hours on that. And so the fact that
all of those things there were plugged into the same surge strip.
Yeah. So the fact that something completely just sucked all the juice out of the battery of my laptop was extremely strange because it was running on the power the whole time. And we checked the cords, we looked at everything. Nothing was loose, nothing come undone. It was still plugged into that same power box that was running all of this other stuff. But yet the battery had been completely wiped out, totally drained.
It'd be funny if this Ghost, because, supposedly Ghost will drain batteries to be able to have power to do something. But because you're new people, it didn't want to mess with you. The whole time it was messing with the owners, using the power to just go mess with them. We know you. Hey, guess what we can do now? Writing in lipstick on the mirrors instead of turning around and using that to mess with you.
Right.
The other thing that happened was the one that got me the most, I'll say for last, because that was Bill's, and I don't know why it affected me more than any of the rest of them, but Seth was running some software that he was doing sound effects. And so I had 2 Bluetooth speakers, and then at the end of the table, Seth had a brick sort of sized Bluetooth speaker that he was running some sound effects that he would randomly throw in if it matched what was going on with the story. I don't remember what the software is called, but
Sirenscape.
Sirenscape. There was a couple of times where I don't know that he was even, I know the one instance he wasn't anywhere even near his iPad. His iPad was sitting on the chair and he'd gone off to do something else. And I had a big giant Bluetooth speaker playing background music. I had some sound effects that were running through what I was controlling. I only had control of my 2 Bluetooth speakers. And all of a sudden this music just started playing. And they'd told us ahead of time too that the ghosts like to turn on the jukebox and the jukebox will just start playing music. Anyway, so music just started playing to the point that it was not necessarily distracting, but it didn't make any sense to me why music was playing. So I turned down my big Bluetooth speaker. I turned down my small Bluetooth speaker. So the only thing that was running or making any sound at volume was Seth's. And it was just playing some random music. And so we called Seth over. We're like, "Seth, is that your speaker that's playing music?" And he's like, I think so. You can take it from there, but
yeah, I turned it off. I don't know what happened.
Yeah,
I mean,
running in
very much
I
random,
am fairly clumsy. I am fairly clumsy and thick-fingered, so I'm not 1,000% gonna say Ghost and not Seth was dumb, but
I'm gonna say that it was 100% Ghost.
I appreciate your faith in me.
When he got up and walked off, he'd been over talking to Bill and Linda for quite a while, and then the music started. He wasn't even anywhere over there.
Yeah.
But the one that got me the most was Bill's phone. When we were sitting he was sitting at the end of the table in that picture over his shoulder there, right by where his ear is at by the game table.
He was
there.
sitting right there.
He was sitting there on his phone, and we're playing along, and he's sitting beside. No, when you were sitting at the end of the table.
Oh yeah, back up there.
Yeah. And so he's sitting at the end of the table, and I look up, a couple of times, and he's sitting on a high top chair. He has his phone out, and I see him going like this. I don't know what he's looking at. I assumed it was Facebook or Instagram or something. And he was just kind of going like this. I had looked up 2 or 3 times over a short amount of time, just because he was right smack dab in front of me. And then just all of a sudden, his phone just started making static sound, like if you were in between, if you had the radio turned up really loud and you're trying on a
Yep, just
trying to station.
Yeah.
It was just he takes it like this, looking at his phone, like, what is that? And I don't know what you did after that, but it.
Yeah, I had to shut the phone off because it was just like this burst of static, and I don't know where it came from. I wasn't on anything I wasn't looking at any music. I wasn't looking at any videos. I think I was actually scrolling through a Washington Post article just to kill some time while you guys were working out some game mechanics or something. And then all of a sudden, just this loud burst of static. I mean, it startled me because I'm like,
Yeah,
that was crazy.
Strange. That's the one that got me the most. And I think it's just because we all had that same physical reaction to quick look at Bill, and then Bill holds his phone out like he doesn't know what's going on either. And yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah. Some weird shit.
So go check out the Argo. Consider it for all your D&D experience needs.
Right. And she did say, by the way, that she thought Jennifer, that runs the Argo, thought that she might want to market that as some, maybe have some D&D, regularly scheduled D&D events during a year. So we'll have to keep our eye out for that. Might be
that might be something interesting where she can book it as a D&D weekend.
Right. All right. Well, sounds good. Well, Benito, thank you for coming on and talking to us about the Argo campaign.
It was a blast. It was every bit about that was fun. It was just great to hang out with everybody.
And it was a unique experience because I mean, I don't know how many people have actually tried to run a D&D campaign in a haunted hotel before, but it was kind of unique and it was fun, and I would definitely do it again. So, yeah, there's that staircase Benita was talking about. You come up the grand staircase, and then right to the left there is that mirrored wall section that just kind of reflects back, that way. And
yeah, it reflects right back down the stairs.
Yeah. All right, sounds good. Well, thank you all for tuning in, and we will catch you next time. We'll have some more interesting discussion. I think we're going to be talking about the fall of the House of Usher next. So,
nice.
Yeah, that should be a good time. So, all right, catch you all later. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Galactic Driftwood Podcast. For more information and past episodes, please visit our website at galacticdriftwood.space or subscribe to us on YouTube. And now, please deactivate your cranial downlinks, collect your towels, and be sure to watch your step as you exit our gravity well.